The wind does not speak, but it remembers it carries the scent of fire, the rhythm of the drum, the voice of the ancestors, and the breath of the earth, long before the mountains rose and rivers carved their stories across the land. The spirit of the four winds watched in silence. It was not a spirit with a name or a face, but a presence that knew the footsteps of all living things. It danced in the firelight, in the smoke spirals of old ceremonies, and it whispered in the ears of the Immersive. Child was born in a valley where the sun first touched the land. Each morning the people called him. No sky, because the day he was born, the sky had turned pale and blank, as if forgetting its color. He was silent for many years, never speaking, never crying, but the elders watched him with eyes that had seen more than one lifetime, and they knew he carried something, not a burden, but a song that had not yet found its voices. Mother was a weaver of smoke patterns. Each evening she lit sacred leaves and let the smoke curl into the sky. The child would watch the dance of the smoke, not with his eyes, but with something deeper behind. His stillness when he turned 9, the first wind came from the north. It came cold and sharp, carrying thee, breath of old bones and frost. That night the boy dreamed for the first time in his dream. He stood in a white plain, and an old woman made of snow spoke to him. Without moving her mouth, she said, "Remember the beginning?" And when he awoke, he spoke. One word stone people gathered around him. The silent boy who had become a whisperer. They asked what the stone meant. He said, "It is the first wind. It remembers stillness." And then he closed his eyes for 3 days and 3 nights in the 4th day. A hawk circled above the village. The wind shifted to the east, warm and restless like a question. The second wind had arrived that night. The boy dreamed again. A young man made of flame danced through a canyon, singing without sound. He touched the boy's chest and said, "Carry it." When the boy awoke, he said, "Fire," and he began to hum a melody that no one had taught him, but everyone. Remember, the people built a circle of stones, and within it they burned cedar and sage. The boy sat in the center, and the wind from the east blew the smoke across the valley. Children said they saw images in the smoke: an eagle, a mountain, a woman with stars in her hair. Third wind came from the south. It carried the scent of rain and roots and laughter. The boy was now older, his hair long, his eyes deep like river shadows. He walked alone into the forest and stayed 7 nights. When he returned, he carried a branch still green with leaves. Though no such tree grew in their valley, he said, "This is the wind of remembering," and he planted the branch at the center of the stone circle, where no plant had grown before. It became a tree unlike any they had known, its bark smooth as skin, its leaves whispering stories when touched on the night of the full moon. The final wind arrived from the west, slow and heavy like the breath of mountains. It did not stir the leaves or bend the grass, but it moved through bones, through dreams, through silence. The boy, now a young man, stood at the top of the high hill. He said, "This is the wind of returning." People gathered, and he told them the 4 winds are not outside. They are within. North is the silence of bones. East is the hunger of fire. South is the laughter of growth. East is the depth of memory. They are not 4. They are one, turning in the spiral hill. Began to dance not with steps, but with presence, and the smoke rose from the sacred fire. The wind joined the smoke, and in that dance the people remembered what they had never forgotten. They saw their grandmothers, their unborn children, their own faces. As elders they wept without sadness, they sang without words. Tree in the circle bloomed with blossoms of light. The sky above turned deep and dark and filled with moving stars. They understood then that the spirit of the four winds had always been the spirit of the people carried in their breath, woven in their songs. Hidden in the silence between footsteps years past, the young man became old, but the winds never left each. Generation learned to listen to the fire, to speak to the smoke, to wait for the winsome said. The boy had never existed, that he was a story made of smoke and wind. But the trees still grew in the stone circle, and on certain nights when the wind turned just right, you could hear singing not with the ears, but with the bone sand. When you closed your eyes and breathed deeply, you would remember not just your life, but the life before and the one that would come after Becos, the spirit of thee. Four winds was never a tale to be told, but a breath to be carried.